Okay, we are in for a little bit of a treat now. I've invited on my show a special guest. Introducing now, we've got Becky Denton. She's an artist in her own right. Just joining me about promoting her new EP, telling us about herself and so on. Hi, Becky. How are we today?
Hi, Danny. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to connect with you, like-minded musicians and so
You
on.
too.
Where
Mhm.
are you, like situated in the globe right now, currently?
Okay. Well, currently I am in the state of Georgia here in the U.S. and my father-in-law and my husband's family, they live here in Georgia, some of his family, and that's where my husband's from. But we reside in Missouri, which is further north in the U.S. But right now I'm in southeast Georgia.
Great. I know I've never been to Georgia before, but I know of Atlanta. Are you not too far away from that city?
We're probably about 3 or 4 hours from Atlanta. We did drive through Atlanta to get here. So we're close to the Florida state line.
And
And
3 hours would in in your view, is that quite a long distance traveling time?
um it's okay. I'm
Yeah.
no, but it's not super long. Long for me, if it's more than 6 hours, yeah, that's long. And I'm the drive from Nashville to uh where we are is close to 8 hours, I think. And then you lose an hour because the time change. But yeah, it's about 8 hours without traffic.
Yeah, sure.
And Atlanta is always full of traffic. You can count on it.
Yeah. So I
So
guess from the UK, from Scotland all the way to Cornwall, that's probably an
um,
8 hour drive. Just
uh,
trying to
you would know that much better than I. I've
yeah,
tried I have been to Europe, but I've never been to the I've never been to England. I have
yeah,
been to Ireland, but never been to Scotland.
no
So
problem. So
mhm.
how long have you been performing for, Becky? Have you always been like in the music industry?
No, I have not always been in the music industry, but I have. You could say I've been performing most of my life, but it started out as just things that I did in school. I was a cheerleader. And then of course, I've always loved to sing, and I did that in junior high and high school, but I didn't start to pursue a career in music until I was out of college. I was in my 20s. So I've been performing more, as seriously as a music career for, 20 some years. So uh, just uh, little by little,
Yes, a step by step. So not
Yes,
necessarily being in the music industry all your life, but it's fair to say you've had a passion for doing music for most of your life.
right. Yes, yes. I yes, it's something that uh, I've always loved performing, and I love to sing. So I have a background in speech pathology, and that's what I did for several years. Like communication, I worked with a lot of uh, different ages, but mostly children. I worked in the school setting, and but I worked on my music most of that time.
Yeah.
Pretty much from the get go that I started working, in the field of speech pathology, I was doing music as well. But
Yeah.
I've since mostly I'm trying to do music full time.
And you mentioned like being a cheerleader. Was there like dancing and like having rhythm to music? Did that kind of was that part of the industry that's you liked doing as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I never had a ton of formal dance training. Not that I would love. I do that.
Yeah.
But yes, in cheerleading, their teams and obviously memorize the things and just try to. It's a way of performing, and you're out in front of a crowd, so it does kind of make sense looking back, why I really enjoyed that, and it evolved into music
Yeah.
later
But
on.
yeah, sure, like dance routines. Yeah, that's fine. Just
Hmm.
moving on to present day then. So I believe you're promoting and plugging a new EP at the moment. So you got some new material out, and it's called Roots
Yes,
Run Deep.
yes. And this project is um, has 4 songs on it, and it's we chose the title "Roots Run Deep" because that is one of the lines in one of the songs in Cottonwood Trees. My roots run deep in those cottonwood trees, and so the songs are all kind of encompass small town values, and that's I grew up in a small town, and it's a place where faith and family and community are are all important. They were important, and these songs all come from those experiences and the lessons that I learned. So I just felt like instead of naming the EP, a song title, I would call it Roots Run Deep. It seems like every song should kind of connect with that title.
Mm. Sure. And it's good to have a bit of community spirits, especially during these times.
Right? Yes.
And I'm just going to talk briefly, track by track, through where Roots Run Deep. I just wanted to ask you
Okay.
firstly, how long was the recording process, to complete the CP, just say from start to finish, like roughly?
Oh, okay. Let's see. Well, that is I'll try to give you a clear answer. Um, because one of the songs we recorded, it seems like it was 20, oh my goodness, maybe 2021. Me and Jesus was recorded in the studio, and Plant a Little Seed was recorded even before that. So, and then Grandma was recorded just this past maybe 2023. So I had a start on some of the songs, but uh, we didn't start really like putting them together until, goodness, maybe it was earlier this year. Yes.
Mm.
And then we started compiling, okay, well, this song still needs this, or, Plant a Little Seed. I think that was finished for quite a while. But we still had to, finish Grandma. And so, yeah, it just, we needed one more song to put on the EP. And I think Grandma was the last one. So some of the songs were just sitting, they were done, but we didn't have the synopsis of the project ready yet.
That's fair enough. So my
And
first track I'm going to ask you, is called, of course, called Plant a Little Seed. Who did you work
uh-huh.
with on this opening track? Were they like local musicians,
No,
producers?
they were not local musicians in Missouri, but they were musicians, friends of ours in Nashville. So in a way, I guess you could say they were local. We, my husband used to live in Nashville for 30 years, and um, so we do travel back and forth. So we do know these musicians, and in fact, one of them is a local artist or musician from Missouri, Jake Clayton, and he played a bevy of instruments on Plant a Little Seed, and I we wrote the song with a friend of mine who's from Missouri originally, Bill White, and my husband Will also wrote the song with us, and then we had Will play drums, and then we had some bass guitar. Jackson Epley and Rob Daniels. They're now out of Nashville, but we had a one of Will's friends that he's worked with in the past, Chad Carlson. He mixed it, and he also mixed a song "I Love Dolly" that I released on my Fire and Grace album back in 2019. So Benny Quinn mastered it. I think Benny Quinn mastered all of the songs. Well, 2 of the songs on the project, I guess. Um, so yeah, a little bit of everybody
Yeah,
pitched in on this song.
yeah. And all four of these tracks are the originals as well.
They are, yes. Grandma is the only one that I wrote. I didn't co-write on that. The others are I co-wrote with someone.
Yeah.
Yes, they are all original music songs.
And on to a second track. It's called Me and Jesus.
Hmm.
With this song, has your faith played a fundamental part on being a guide on your musical voyage?
Oh my goodness, yes. That's quite a question. Yeah, I guess just thinking about it makes me a little emotional.
Hmm.
The song itself that I wrote this with Erica Sunshine Lee, and I've written some songs with her. She's a writer out of Nashville, and she's actually from Georgia. That's her home state. She's a very talented writer, and we wrote that, me and Jesus. The day we wrote it, it did bring me to tears, and I think that that's a sign that a song is where maybe what it should have said. If it's really moving you,
Hmm.
it's saying what it needs to say, and um, so I think, if you really listen to the lyrics, I think I love the lyrics. And, it's basically just saying that, you know, life is hard, but everybody's going to go through, hard times in life. You're just probably not going to get around
Hmm.
it.
Yeah,
And,
sure.
but knowing that, you've got your faith, you've got, for in my case, I know, you know, I'm loved. I have a family who loves me, and I try to provide that love. But I also, love comes from a higher source. In my case, me and Jesus. And it's a reassurance. Hey, you're okay. You are loved, and no matter what, you're loved, and you mean something. You
Hmm.
matter, and life is not always going to be terrible. If you're going through hard times, and if you're going through great times, be thankful and um just know that you're going to get through it.
Well,
So,
thanks for answering that question.
uh-huh.
Like the second track, Me and Jesus, I guess it's like a very personal song to you.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. I can relate to it. And I'm hoping that, you know, my daughter, I had a lot of her in mind when I wrote it. But I think a lot of people can just relate. I
Yeah.
think they should be able to relate to it. Everybody goes through growing up is hard. Getting older can be harder. All the little parts in life, you go through phases and they can all be challenging, kind of test you,
I'm
so to
sure it
speak.
will resonate with many, many people.
Hmm. Yeah, I hope
Right
so.
then, moving on to your next track, let's talk about the cottonwood trees. Was that influenced from, say, like where you live, like with the rural and the countryside?
Yes, it was. Yes. So my mom and dad still live in the place where I grew up, and their yard has cottonwood trees in it. And there aren't as many now because it seems like when a big storm hit, it takes out cottonwood trees. But I grew up swinging on those cottonwood trees, climbing the tree,
Mm,
listening to the leaves in the wind. And to me, it's just such a peaceful sound when you hear that wind rustling through those big leaves. And they're so beautiful. They're real shiny, and I can always spot them when I'm traveling. Oh, there's a cottonwood tree, and when I hear it or when I see it, it reminds me of home. And so it's a way to kind of reflect on how I was brought, my upbringing, but also you can go back home and so I'm thankful that yeah my I can still go back there and take you know my daughter back there and they just kind of feel that experience.
mm. And the fourth and final track is called Grandma as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Grandma's one that I wrote by myself. That was one of my earlier songs. So was Cottonwood Trees, but Cottonwood Trees, we recut that song. Yeah, I wrote Grandma close to the end of my grandmother's life, and on my dad's side, and she was in my life so much growing up, and she lived to be 96. She was very independent up until the last couple of years of her life, and she did have to go to a nursing home. But she was just a great example of all my grandparents are, and just my parents are too, and my father-in-law. I'm actually visiting him right now, and they're all great examples of just living selflessly and loving their family well.
Nice, very nice to hear. So this EP, we just talked briefly about the four tracks on there. Um, Roots Run Deep, is that available on Spotify and all the good outlet streaming platforms and so on?
Absolutely. And it's also available on my website, BeckyDenton.com. But yeah, if you pull it up anywhere digitally, you're going to find it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's BeckyDenton.com, is it? That's your official website.
Yes. Thank you,
Okay.
Danny. Mhm.
Cool. And just delving into your back catalogue now, because this isn't just the only material you've released.
Mhm.
A few of your popular songs we'll just touch on briefly. You have a song you released called "Ain't No Ocean in Missouri." Was this about was this song about living like inland? Sorry, inland, a lot away, hundreds of miles from the coast, seasides.
Oh, totally. Yes. I uh, really love the water. I love the sun. And yeah, in Missouri, you are landlocked in a way. It takes a long time to get to the ocean, and we do have some pretty water. We have some beautiful lake. The Mark Twain Lake is not far from where I live. But if I just want to go to the ocean and hear the waves, you can't just get in your car and go. You can't just walk there. You have to make big plans to get there, big travel plans.
And
And yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
I wanted to ask you about Take Me Back to Thai B.
Yes. So Tybee is actually in here in Georgia, and my sister-in-law and her family, they live in Savannah, and they have a little place on Tybee Island too, which is just real close to Savannah. And I got to visit there for my first time in uh, 2017. My husband took me there, and it really just wowed me, and so I loved it. And the a lot of the ships come in off the Atlantic, and they come into the harbor in Savannah. And you get to see these huge ships that come through if you're on the beach on Tybee Island, and
Hmm.
it's it's really amazing, and it's just a uh, beautiful little place, and it's not uh, it's a little ways from here. I'd say it's a couple hours, but I'm about an hour away, I think, from the ocean where I am today. So if I
And
had the urge, I guess I could go.
Take me back to Thai B. It really does show your beautiful, sweet vocals as well. And
Thanks.
I detected a bit of like Irish folk in there as well. We know the banjos.
Oh yeah, yeah. So there's a ukulele in there, and there's this yeah some guitar, and uh, so it's yeah, I love the way that production turned out. I love the musicians who played on that. They did such a beautiful.
Hmm. And when you're songwriting, composing, putting music together, where do you get your creativity when you're writing songs? Does it sometimes naturally come to you?
The idea naturally comes. Usually the song will come from like, and it also come from an emotion. Something that maybe I feel strongly about, or maybe I have an idea, and but it's always something that kind of pops in my head. I'd say I'm more on the idea side than writing the lyrics. Some people are really gifted at just putting lyrics down, and they just run with it and can write a song really quickly. I don't think I'm that person.
Hmm.
I feel like I have the ideas that seem to come kind of easily. Or I don't even know if that's right.
Hmm. I,
But yeah, it often comes from an idea or an emotion.
I don't know, with songwriting, it can take a day to a month to a year to write one song. And
Yes,
I hear in Nashville you have like songwriting camps where like you actually all band together and write songs together.
yes, yeah. I have done some a workshop or two or three. A lot of times I do co-write. I do feel like it's always good and I need to do this more, is just write by myself and really kind of take some time and, hey, what do you sound like? What,
Mm,
as an artist, what's inside of you? But I feel like it's really, I'm feel blessed to be able to write with people who have that true gift of writing. Bill White is a great example of that. He's just a very gifted writer. It just comes really naturally for him,
yeah.
I think.
My next question wanted to ask you, do you also enjoy doing like cover versions of like songs as well?
Oh, sure. I think that a lot of the gigs that I do, we do covers, we do originals, but I think if it's a good song and it's got a message that you want to say and to connect with your audience, I
Mm,
think that's all. That's what it's about. The whole reason I want to do this. I think most musicians, they just want to make, they want to make a connection. I do. I want to connect with people when I'm
mm,
singing. Always, when you're in on stage, it is a little kind of, the older I get, I think it's kind of, it seems a little strange. You just stand there and, you're like performing and singing, but it's a way that, if you can connect to people, and that's what we're here to do. I think we've got to make connections.
sure,
So
I
if you can
agree.
sing, and if you want to sing them, I guess that's the way to do it.
Mm. Also, are you an independent artist as well? Like
Yes.
self-release. What do you enjoy about that side of things?
What do I enjoy? Well, I have pretty much full control. um, so I'd say, creative control. Um, I can decide, yeah, pretty much anything. Um, if there's creatively art design, how I want it to sound, that all I can say yes or no to any of that. Um, the you didn't ask this question, but I'm just going to go ahead and give you the flip side of it is you have to do it kind of all yourself, and it
Yeah.
can be overwhelming. It can be expensive, and a lot of times I don't want to spend money if I know I'm not going to get any return on it, or and so a lot of times like I know that a lot of these songs I can envision a great video, but I just want to really, if I'm going to spend my money that I hardly earn, that
Yeah.
I earned, I want to make sure that it's going to be worth it. And I don't just want to give my money. I've done that before, and not a ton, but I just really want to be careful in how I spend my money. If it's gonna, and sometimes you just don't know, and you have to kind of take that chance. Um, but yeah, the other thing about just being overwhelmed, you're in charge of all the things, that a record label. So I basically I'm my own
Mm.
record, on my own record label, and my husband Will, he does a great job, and he does takes care of the things as well, and but yeah, there's a lot of hats to wear, so to speak.
That's understandable. Um, so who have been like your influences and inspirations over the years? Like, country music, gospel music.
Mm-hmm. Well, in country music, I really loved Dolly Parton. I've always loved her music and her songs and just her artistry. I think something about her just seems very real and genuine. I love her songs. Uh, I grew up with Julie Andrews. I really loved her voice. A lot of the musicals that she's done. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of great singers out there. Somebody that kind of a little bit on the other side of Dolly Parton was an artist from was she from the UK? She was from UK, Roxette. I think she might have
Okay.
been Swedish. Yeah, but I really loved her music growing up, and I'm sorry that she's passed. But I mean, so many country artists that are legends. I've always enjoyed, female country artists, but yeah, I have, let's see, Linda Ronstadt. She's a good
Yeah.
influence. Um, yes.
Great.
So, Hmm.
Nice. Yeah, I suppose there's so many to think of, when you ask that question, it's hard to think of, there's so many, it's hard to think of on the spot.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Right, just wrapping up now. What's
mhm.
the feeling like when you get like positive feedback from your family, friends, and followers, with your music? It's reaching out. What's that feeling like?
Oh, well, that feels makes me feel always feel very happy. I think when people take the time to come up and tell me something about my music after a show, after a live show, or they take the time to write in a comment or write an email about how, you know, my music touched them, that's what it's all about. That's, again, just making that connection. And that, when I hear a great song and I get, touched by it, I think that's what at the core of what we are as humans. We want to feel things. It makes you feel alive, and it's a real zen feeling. And so if I can, that it always makes me feel like, okay, well, good. I guess I'll keep trying. I'll keep trying to do this. If I'm connecting with people and they're coming and telling me, hey, it's like one lady, we had a show last weekend, and she said, that song "I Call It Love," that you sang, I was pretty much crying through the whole song.
Yeah,
Those are some pretty deep words. So,
that's really nice to hear. I suppose when you get praise, it makes it all the more worthwhile.
hmm, yeah, and yeah, it's like, why am I doing this? Oh, okay, well, it's not really, as I've grown older, I enjoy it, but it's about, to me, a lot. If you're serving others, you any job you have, I think, how can you, you know make a difference with other people?
Sure
So,
thing. Just one final thing before we wrap up the interview. Where's best for people to follow you, like on social media? I know you've got your website, BECKYDENTON.com, but are you on like Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and so on?
right, right. So, yeah, my website I have a mailing list sign up, and that's a really great way because you can get, sign up, put your email in there, and it's um, free, and I don't share it, but it gives me a way to really connect on a level, with people. But it's just go to my website and then you just click on the little mailing list button. Other ways, you can always follow my social media pages, and I see who follows, and so that's, so my handle there is at Becky Denton. So on YouTube and Instagram and the Facebook, all the things,
Yeah.
it's at Becky Denton Music.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for joining me today, Becky Denton, on today's show. I'm going to play
You're
one
welcome.
of your tracks on my show now. Out of the four tracks, was there one that you most like for your listeners to hear?
Um, you play, how about Cottonwood Trees? That's
Yeah, I was just
sweet.
thinking about that.
Okay.
That'd be a nice
Yeah.
one to play. All right, then. Thanks
Yeah.
very much for your time today, and it's really nice
You're
speaking with
welcome.
you.
Thank you, Danny. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries. It's been a pleasure.